Welcome to Gemara Academy. In this class, we will learn the Gemara Masechta Shabbos on Daf Vav Amud Beis and Daf Zayin Amud Aleph. Let's begin. Previously in the Gemara, we learned a long brisa about the four Rishos of Shabbos, Rosh Hashanah, Rosh Hashanah, Carmelis, and a Mokim Torah. In the previous Gemara, we asked four questions on the beginning of the brisa that speaks about Rosh Hashanah and Rosh Hashanah. In this piece of Gemara, we're going to ask two questions on the next part of the brisa that speaks about a Carmelis. So we're going to begin by quoting from the brisa and then questioning it. Amar Mar, the master of the brisa, said, Avol Yam, but an ocean, Ubika, and an area of fields, Vayistavanis, and the bench area in front of stores, Var Carmelis, and a Carmelis, Einan, they are not like Rosh Hashanah, like Rosh Hashanah, not like Rosh Hashanah, and not like Rosh Hashanah. And the Gemara asks, Ubika, Eini, like Rosh Hashanah, like Rosh Hashanah, and an area of fields is not like Rosh Hashanah, and not like Rosh Hashanah. V'hatanan, but we learned in the Mishnah, Habika, an area of fields, be Chama, in the summer months. In the summer season, Rosh Hashanah l'Shabbos is a Rosh Hashanah for Shabbos, Rosh Hashanah l'Tumah, and Rosh Hashanah for Tumah. So we're going to first begin by pointing out that it says clearly that an area of fields is a Rosh Hashanah for Shabbos in the summer months, and like we're going to see, the same is true in the rainy season, since the din of a Rosh Hashanah and Shabbos is not influenced by what season it is. So that's the first thing we're going to point out, and that's our question, that it says here that a bika, an area of fields, is a Rosh Hashanah. Our brisa says that it's a Carmelis. Now we're going to explain the Mishnah itself. It says that it's a Rosh Hashanah for Tumah. What that means is, that when it comes to Tumah, when we say Rosh Hashanah and Rosh Hashanah, Rosh Hashanah means that the person is there alone. Nobody else is there. If there's even one other person there, that's a Rosh Hashanah. So therefore, an area of fields in the summer months is considered a Rosh Hashanah for Tumah. Since it's the summer months, nothing was growing in the fields, so people would use the fields as a shortcut to go through. And therefore, if a person is in the fields in the summer months, it's considered that he's not there alone. And the din is that Safek Tumah Rosh Hashanah is Tahor. If a person's in an area that's considered Rosh Hashanah for Tumah, and he's not sure whether he became Tummy or not, the din is he is Tahor. Safek Tumah Rosh Hashanah Tahor. So it's important for the person to know that if this happened in the summer months in an area of fields, he'll be tar since other people are there as well. In the rainy season, Rosh Hashanah it's Rosh Hashanah for both, for Shabbos, since Shabbos it won't change, and also for Tumah, since the rainy season things were growing in the fields, people would not use the fields as a shortcut. They didn't want to cause harm or damage to the crops. So if somebody finds himself in a field in the rainy season, we consider that he's there alone. And if he's not sure if he became Tameh, we say that's a Safek Tumah Rosh Hashanah. And the din is Safek Tumah Rosh Hashanah is Tameh. So here we have the Mishnah. On the bottom line that we're taking out of the Mishnah for our Gemara is a question on the Brisa. The Brisa said that a bika, an area of fields, is a Carmelis, and the Mishnah says that it's a Rosh Hashanah. So the Gemara gives two answers, one from Ula and one from Rav Ashi. Amar Ula said, Lo'elam Carmelis have. In truth, it's a Carmelis. Everybody agrees it's a Carmelis, and that's why the Mishnah says it's a Carmelis. That's why the Brisa says it's a Carmelis, and the Mishnah also agrees that it's a Carmelis. And he completes the answer by explaining, so why does the Mishnah say that it's a Rosh Hashanah? And why did the Mishnah call it a Rosh Hashanah? Because it's not a Rosh Hashanah. In other words, the Mishnah, when it says that it's a Rosh Hashanah, doesn't mean to say it's actually Rosh Hashanah. It's just pointing out that unlike by Tumah, that the area of fields is sometimes a Rosh Hashanah and sometimes a Rosh Hashanah, for Shabbos it's never a Rosh Hashanah. And the way he brings that out is by saying that it's a Rosh Hashanah. But the intention and the meaning of the Mishnah is not to say that it's actually Rosh Hashanah, but just to bring out that it's not a Rosh Hashanah. So according to the answer of Ula, he's saying that everybody agrees it's a Carmelis, and that's why the Brisa calls it a Carmelis, because it is a Carmelis. And the Mishnah also agrees it's a Carmelis, and it just calls it a Rosh Hashanah to bring out that it's never a Rosh Hashanah. The Gemara now continues and presents the answer of Rav Ashi. Rav Ashi said, it's a case where the area of fields has walls. When the Mishnah says that a bika is a Rosh Hashanah, it's referring to an area of fields that has walls around it, and therefore it's a Rosh Hashanah. So Rav Ashi is answering that a bika is generally a Carmelis. It doesn't have walls around it. It's not going to be a Rosh Hashanah because it's lacking the requirements for Rosh Hashanah. Therefore, it's a Carmelis. The Mishnah that says that it's a Rosh Hashanah says it's a Rosh Hashanah is talking about an area of fields that's surrounded by walls. In such a case, if an area is surrounded by walls, it'll be a Rosh Hashanah. Now the Gemara is going to support and complete the answer of Ula by quoting a teaching that supports this, that an area of fields that's surrounded by walls will be a Rosh Hashanah. And this is like Ula said in the name of Rabbi Yechanan. Karfif, it's talking about a large area that's greater than 2 beis sah. It's bigger than 5,000 square feet. That this area has a wall around it, but it wasn't enclosed for the purposes of a residence, for a person to live in a house within there. Vafilu kur, even if it's as large as a kur, which is a lot larger than a beis sah. Vafilu kuraim, even if it's 2 kur. Hazerik l'seiche chayiv. If somebody throws into that area, is chayiv. If he throws from Rosh Hashanah into there, he is chayiv, because if there's an area that's surrounded by walls, it makes no difference how large it is. it's a Rosh Hashanah. The definition of a Rosh Hashanah is that it's surrounded by walls and it's larger than 4 tefachim by 4 tefachim. It makes no difference how large it is, it'll be considered a Rosh Hashanah. My time, what's the reason the person's chayiv? Mechitzahi, it is considered valid walls. Elashim uchaseres diyon, it's just that it's lacking residence. When he says it's just that it's lacking residence, that's telling us that as a result that it's lacking residence, it wasn't an enclosure and there was a house within. Therefore, since it's so big, it looks like a Rosh Hashanah, and the Chazal made a gzera that a person can't carry more than 4 amos there. So it comes out that it makes no difference how large an area is. If it's surrounded by walls, it's going to be a Rosh Hashanah. The only thing is, if it was surrounded by walls for the purpose of a residence, then it'll always be treated as a Rosh Hashanah in every regard. However, if it was not surrounded for the purpose of a residence, then if it's very large, larger than a base saw, then we say it looks like a Rosh Hashanah and a person can't carry more than 4 amos there. But what's relevant for us over here is that we're bringing out that any area, regardless of its size, if it's surrounded by 4 walls, it's a Rosh Hashanah. And that's how Rav Ashi explains the Mishnah that says that an area of fields is a Rosh Hashanah. It's talking about an area of fields that's surrounded by walls. Now the Gemara is going to move on and explain why it is that Rav Ashi doesn't like the answer of Ula and why it is that Ula doesn't like the answer of Rav Ashi. So the Gemara begins by saying, Bishleim Rav Ashi le'amar kadol. It makes sense to us, and the Gemara will tell us the reason in a moment. The Gemara is saying, though, that it's obvious. It makes sense to us that Bishleim or Rav Ashi makes sense to us. Lo Amar Kadol, he didn't say like Ula. But this leads into a question. We understand Rav Ashi. Elo Ula, but Ula, my time, what's the reason? Lo Amar Kishmaite, he didn't say like his teaching. When Rav Ashi said his teaching, that it's a Rosh Hashanah, if it's surrounded by walls, he quoted the teaching of the Amar Ula, Amar Rabbi Yechanan. It's from Ula. Ula agrees that regardless of the size of an area, if it's surrounded by walls, it'll be considered a Rosh Hashanah. So why didn't Ula give that answer? The Mishnah says it's a Rosh Hashanah because it's referring to an area of fields, a bika that's surrounded by walls. The Gemara answers, Amar Lach, he would tell you, the Islay Machitza, if it had walls around it, bika karila, would the Tana of the Mishnah refer to it as a bika? Karfifi, it's a karfif. If it was referring to an area of fields that was surrounded by a wall, the Tana of the Mishnah would not speak about a bika. He would speak about a karfif. And since he doesn't say karfif, he says bika, clearly it's not surrounded by a wall. Rav Ashi will tell you the reason why he doesn't like Ula is Rosh Hashanah Katani. It says Rosh Hashanah, it doesn't say Karmelis. So it comes out that each of them has an issue with the other in the wording of the Mishnah. Rav Ashi says he doesn't like the explanation of Ula, because according to Ula, the Tana of the Mishnah agrees that it's a Karmelis. He just calls it a Rosh Hashanah. He said that wording doesn't fit. Why would he call it a Rosh Hashanah if it's a Karmelis? That's inappropriate. And what Ula doesn't like about Rav Ashi is that according to Rav Ashi, the Tana of the Mishnah would not refer to a bika, he would call it a karfif since it's surrounded by walls. And with that, we're finished the first part of the Gemara, where we question that our Brisa says that a bika, an area of fields, is a karmelis. We find that a Mishnah calls it, the Mishnah says that it's a Rosh Hashanah. We gave 2 answers. One by Ula, that the Mishnah calls it a Rosh Hashanah, but really agrees that it's a karmelis. And the other one is that the Mishnah is talking about a different case. It's talking about a case where the area of fields is surrounded by walls. In that case, it would be a Rosh Hashanah. The Gemara now moves on to the next question on this part of the Brisa that speaks about a karmelis. Viha karmelis. This is a quote from the Brisa. The Brisa says, Aval yom, but an ocean, ubika, an area of fields, veistavanis, and the bench area in front of stores, viha karmelis, and a karmelis. These cases are all a karmelis. So the Gemara asks, Atu kulu nami, but are the others lav karmelis? Are they not also a karmelis? What does it mean when it says viha karmelis and the karmelis? The others are also karmelis. Are the others not a karmelis? So he's asking a rhetorical question. Are they not a karmelis? They are a karmelis. So what does it mean when it says viha karmelis and the karmelis? And the Gemara answers, Ki also Rav Dimi, when Rav Dimi came from Eretz Yisrael, Amar Rabbi Yechanan, he said in the name of Rabbi Yechanan, Le nitzrucha ela lekeren zavis. This is needed. This is only needed for a corner hasmuch l'Rosh Hashanah, which is removed from the Rosh Hashanah. In other words, when it says var karmelis, it's just referring to another case. We have an ocean, an area of fields, the bench area in front of stores, and a karmelis is just referring to another case. It's referring to a corner that's removed from the Rosh Hashanah. And Rashi gives 2 examples of this. One is that there were a number of houses on each side, and then one house didn't extend as much into the Rosh Hashanah. The Rosh Hashanah was the area beneath, and then one house was a little not as long. So that area over there it's referring to, or there was a bit of a part of the Rosh Hashanah was jutting out, and there was still an area in between that people could go. But the point is, it's an area just removed off the Rosh Hashanah. That's what it's referring to when it says karmelis. And why is this area considered a karmelis and not a Rosh Hashanah? It's right next to the Rosh Hashanah. So the Gemara explains the afal gav, that even though the zimnim at times, the dachki bei rabim, the public pushes, va'ayli the gavan, they go into there. When there's a lot of people in the area of the Rosh Hashanah, they end up overflowing into this place. Since the use of that area is not comfortable, ki karmelis dami, it's like a karmelis. The Gemara answers that when it says var karmelis, it's just referring to another case, and the reason why this case is a karmelis is because it's not a comfortable place to use. And with that, to just summarize the Gemara, we asked the question of, it says that a bika in area of fields is a karmelis. We find elsewhere that it's a rishus hayachid. We gave two answers, that everybody agrees it's a karmelis, it just calls it a rishus hayachid, or it's talking about a bika that's surrounded by walls, and that type of bika is a rishus hayachid. The second part of the Gemara, we asked, what does it mean when it says veha karmelis? All the cases are karmelis, and we simply answered that it's just referring to another case. It's referring to a karen zavis hasmuchel rishus harabim, a corner that's just right off the rishus harabim. That area, even though it's attached to the rishus harabim, being that it's not comfortable for the public to use it, therefore it's a karmelis, and that's the case that's being referred to when the Brisa says veha karmelis.